I mean, for me, honestly, it's just one of those things. I would like to see BJ retire. And not to say that he can't win this fight. It's going to be a tough fight for him. Clay Guida, him and I have fought from before as well. Can you scroll down on Clay's thing? Yeah, I mean, he's got he obviously he has a loss against Charles Oliveira. He beat Joe Lazon, beat Eric Koch. He's beat some good guys. Lost to Brian Ortega, but who hasn't lost to that guy except for Max? Thiago Tavares. I mean, Clay has lost to some guys that are at the top. Dennis Bermudez, Chad Mendes. I mean, his losses are to the guys that are still kind of right there in that. In that title talk a little bit right now, still to this day. So all those things being said, BJ not having a win, I want to say in probably the last 5 or 6 fights. Scroll down on BJ's. Yeah, so he's, and look, BJ and I, and just full disclosure, one of my closest friends in the sport. We trained together for years. I've helped him train as well for a lot of his fights as well. Been out to Hawaii a bunch of times. Look, we're really close. He has nothing, and honestly, he has nothing left to prove. He did things before. People are doing things now, and they're considering it like that they have done it, and he did it before then. Like, he was fighting guys in the heavyweight division, guys at 185 pounds. He was fighting guys at 170. He was fighting guys at 155. Now he's fought at 145. He's fought at every weight class from 145 all the way up to heavyweight. So he did all that stuff 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. He was doing that stuff. 2-division champion. Long time ago, so the fact that he's got nothing else to prove, my honest opinion is I have no idea why he's still fighting. He doesn't need the money. He owns several UFC gyms in Hawaii, one in Waikele, one in Honolulu. There's another one that they put in, and I think they're opening a 4th one. I want to say there's one going in Maui, but regardless, I know he owns 3. That he's got his name stamped on, and I believe it's like 40 or it's like I think he owns like either 40 or 60% of each gym that he has put the money out to make sure that those gyms are going. The money's not really an issue, and everyone knows this. I have no idea why he's still fighting. I know he's in a different place now, physically and with other home stuff and family stuff and things like that. He's in a very good place. I thought physically he looked the best I had ever seen him look for the Ryan Hall fight. But that being said, I think that, people had feared his jiu-jitsu for so long and just didn't really, all they did was want to try to wrestle him and take him down and do those things. Ryan Hall was not that person. And I expected BJ to come in a little bit more prepared for that fight in that type of stuff. I would imagine he trained for it, but I think when you get in there and something like that happens, it does change things. Now, all of that being said, it's just a different, BJ fighting someone like Clay Guida. Clay's probably going to potentially take him down. The fight on the feet makes for an interesting fight. I think Clay's a little bit faster than BJ. I think BJ hits a little bit harder. As far as, BJ just got some miles on him. He just fought so many guys. If you scroll down the list of the guys that he's fought, from everyone from Matt Hughes, Frankie Edgar, John Fitch, Nick Diaz, Rory McDonald, Yair Rodriguez. I mean, like Sean Shirk, Joe Stevenson, Jens Pulver, Matt Hughes. He fought Matt Hughes 3 times, GSP twice. I mean, like Renzo Gracie, Rodrigo, Lyoto Machida was at 220 pounds. He fought him. Dwayne Ludwig, Takanori Gomi, Carl Uno, Matt Sarek fought Uno twice, Jens Pulver twice, Din Thomas. I mean, like, the list goes on and on. He was fighting guys that were always at the best. He never wanted to fight guys that weren't until as of recently. Like, it's not that he asked for, I think, the easy fight, but he's just that guy, man. He never asked for an easy fight, always wanted the toughest fight. When he left after beating Matt Hughes and fought Takanori Gomi, when he left after that fight, before then, when he left and fought Takanori Gomi, like that fight, it happened before the Matt Hughes fight. Sorry, my bad. But when he had left for that fight, there was contract stuff going on, and he went off and did his own thing. He just paved his own way for Rumble on the Rock and did his own thing, and reached out to Gomi and said, look, we want you to come over and fight us and have this fight happen. Your guy against my guy. I'll pay you this. And that was the first time a fighter had went off and done their own thing and started a promotion and they had piggybacked something off of him, and he had done something that was, it was huge. It was unprecedented. Like, obviously in the sport, it was a relatively young sport, but he paved the way for other fighters to understand that, like, you're able to do those type of things. And I'll forever be grateful for like those type of things that he's done, because it opened my eyes. I think that I feel blind, that some fighters feel blind, that are blinded to. And I'll give you an example, give you a couple examples, is that I would have been that guy that would have had BJ not done the certain things that he had done, that believed that, like, oh man, the UFC is the only place to be. The UFC is the only place to be. Like, I can't go anywhere else. And as of recently, I had a fighter reach out to me and was just, and not just one, I have had several, but I actually had a conversation and a talk with one of the fighters, a girl fighter actually, and she was interested in coming over to Bellator, but she just, like, she said what a lot of fighters think is, like, I don't know what I would do. I wouldn't know, like, if I went somewhere else, how I would do and what would happen. You know, like, I wouldn't know where to go. Like, if it doesn't work there, I can't come back. It's almost like you're shutting the door once you leave on a promotion. And I want people to understand that you're not shutting that door. If you win in another organization, you keep winning in that organization. And Anthony Johnson is proof of that, is that you can leave and go to another organization and be dominant there and then come back. And they will always take you back. And if I honestly believe Anthony Johnson being Anthony Johnson, it was better for him to leave, figure his things out with his weights and all his other things, get big wins over there in the PFL or whatever it was called at the time. He got big wins over there in that organization, and the UFC brought him back for way more money than they were paying him before he left. And that lets you know, like, they'll do what they, if you go to another organization, you can always come back as long as you're winning. But that goes for any organization. Like, one organization is not going to probably want you if you're losing all the time. You know, and so when you go to another organization and you win, UFC will always take you back. ONE FC will always have an interest in you. Bellator, same thing. If you go to the UFC or you're from the UFC and you go to ONE FC and you're winning over there, Bellator will almost always probably would like to sign you. And the same thing goes for the UFC. They would probably like to take you from them and show that if you're having a dominant performance over there, that they would still probably would enjoy signing you. Same thing for the PFL. You know, those athletes are not, it's not like that as if they can't get in. It's just a matter of the organizations, as long as you're winning, they will want you. And you just got to keep showing that you're winning your fights and winning impressively and doing these things to build your brand, and those organizations will want to sign you. And I think BJ was one of the first guys that showed that his brand could grow and could be big enough to piggyback a promotion, and he did it with Rumble on the Rock to the point where Elite XC bought him. You know, Elite XC joined with Rumble on the Rock and bought pretty much their fighters, not BJ, but bought the ones that they had under contract with them. And then, are they still around? No, they sold to Elite XC. Elite XC got basically just folded, but then Strikeforce took over a lot of their fighters. So that was back in the day. But that's my point is that he did a lot of those things, and I have no idea why he's still fighting. To me, I don't feel like this is a good fight for him. But I also did notice that through texts and conversation and the fact that after seeing his last performance against Ryan Hall, as far as physically, he looked good. And after talking with him as of recently, he said he continues to train every day. He's been training every day. Whereas before, you could tell he wasn't training, and talking in conversations with him was proof that he wasn't training. Now he's in a better place mentally and physically. So I think this makes for an interesting fight. I hope we see the best BJ Penn we can see. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that exclusive content of Sammy and the Punk. Also, hit these videos for more exclusive content and hit the subscribe button on the bottom corner.